Shalom. Apostle Tahar coming back at you with this truth, giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Wakar Kwadash. And I'm going to entitle this video, A Cloud by Day and a Pillar of Fire by Night. And this is talking about what the so-called white man, the Edomite, Esau Edom, or the red Hebrew Edomites call a UFO. When we left out of the land of Egypt, which was the land of Mizraim or Martezayim, Egypt was a term that Esau used for that particular land. Anyway, it says in Exodus 13 verse 21. Now, before I go into this video, I just checked out a video that the Apostle Gabar did dealing with camps. So I put in the word camp, and the word came up in the scriptures 136 times, and I believe 124 verses. And when you read the first couple of scriptures that pop up, and I'm going to read them. The first camp was when we left out of Egypt, when we were in the wilderness, and while in a no man's land, in other words, for wilderness, the so-called Egyptian armies were after us, and there was a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, meaning this so-called UFO, it was a gigantic UFO, so you can understand. And that's how we were led. We were guided. We were led by that so-called UFO that the Mosai had sent down. And at night, out in the wilderness, in no man's land, it's pitch black dark. And what this ship did was have a beam of light, as you can see in the picture. And you're going to see a little video of UFOs and pictures of so-called UFOs, whether they're actual pictures or doctored pictures. This is just to illustrate, to give you an idea of what they look like. I mean, we all seen movies on it, but anyway, whether these pictures or this video that you're looking at is fake or not, the point is, this is what actually happened back during that time period when we left out of the land of Mizraim and we were in the wilderness. Anyway, I'm going to read Exodus 13 verse 21 and verse 22. It says, and I'm going to show you that this wasn't no regular cloud. It was an actual spaceship, so you can understand that maneuvered in front of us and that came behind us. And this is this is the power of the Most High, man. This is why these Edomites, or red Hebrew Edomites, they want to, the main reason why they want to be us is because they want to get those blessings. They want to claim, they want to get that, their father, Esau, the Edomite father is Esau, and he gave up his birthright because he had no discipline, which made him a bastard. He said, what is this to me? because he said he was at the point to die. Oh, and as a footnote, if you go to the, I believe it's the Book of Yasha. If not the Book of Yasha, the Book of Jubilee, which those books are in the scriptures, but the current books that are named the Book of Yasha and the Book of Jubilee and this book and that and all these different books, it said that the reason why Esau was so famished is because he got into a fight. He ran into Nimrod and some of his bodyguards, and he got into a fight with him. And I believe he killed all you Israelite camps that go into the Book of Yash and the Book of Jubilee and these different books. That's not part of the scriptures, man. The Most High took away that book. We don't know where the book is. Those books are at. There's a book called the Book of the Book of the Wars of the Lord. Do you have that book? Anyway, that's what it said in Book of I believe it's the Book of Yasha, where he ran into Nimrod with his bodyguards, and he had a fight with him, and he got away. I believe he killed Nimrod, and then that's why he was so tired. This is for all you simple-minded, bird-brained Negroes that follow guys, the GOCC. Anyway, it says, because they're known for reading those extra books. Anyway, it says, coming back to the main topic, it says, Exodus 13, verse 21, and Yahweh went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light to go by day and night. So that was, and you can clearly see that that's talking about a so-called UFO. In the daytime, they didn't need that pillar of fire by night. And that pillar of fire by night was a gigantic flashlight, if you like, a tractor beam. Anyway, it says in the 22nd verse, Exodus 13, verse 22, he took not away the pillar of the cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night from before the people. The people, as we know, is talking about the children of Israel, which that was a camp. When they were in the wilderness for 40 years, that was a camp. Anyway, let me go to Exodus 14, and I'll kind of jump around till I hit the point. It says, Exodus 14:1, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel that they turn and camp. You got the word camp before Pi Ha Heroth, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal Zephon. Before it shall ye encamp by the sea. And let me look up the word encamp. So we were guided by the Most High, led by the Most High, by the scriptures say, his strange work. Okay, that doesn't really tell me nothing. So let's come back. It says, for Pharaoh will say the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land. The wilderness hath shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart that he shall follow after them, and I will be hardened upon Pharaoh and upon all his hosts, that the Egyptians may know that I am Yahweh. And they did so. 5th verse. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled, in the heart of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people. And they said, why have ye done this, that ye have let Israel go from serving us? And he made ready his chariots and took his people with him. So as you read down, I'm not just going to keep on reading, but I'm going to go right to the point. I'm jumping down to 18th verse. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. 19th verse. And the angel of the Most High, which went before the camp of Israel, and this is talking about in what Esau calls a UFO, removed and went behind them. So this is not an actual cloud. This is an actual UFO. I got to keep saying that. So this so-called UFO maneuvered and went behind them. And you have scholars that say that there was 1 million Israelites. Some say there was 6 million. You know, with men, women, and children, there had to be about 6 million. So they don't know the exact number. It says, and the angel of the Most High, which went before the camp, there goes the word camp. Let me check something. Okay, camp is from the Hebrew makawa, which means encampment, camp, place of encampment, camp of armed hosts, army camp, those who encamp, company, body of people. So that's why we're called camps, because when we go out, it's a body of people. It may be a small, but it may be 5 or 6 brothers, or it may be 20 brothers. That's why we're called camps, because when you look this word up, the definition of the word camp, or when you go back to the reference, the account of Saul, when they said, "Behold, Saul is among the prophets," and he was walking and prophesying with the prophets, and the Spirit was on him at that time. So those prophets that he was with, that was a camp of prophets. It says camp. It said host, company, tents, armies, bands, battle, drove. So for anybody that says that the camps are wicked, where the fame of Israel came from us setting up them camps with the help of YouTube. Because all Esau, the media knows about us. They've been knew about us. They're just talking about us now. It says the word camp is encampment, camp, place of encampment, camp of armed hosts. And we're a spiritual army, so our arms is the scriptures. Army camp, spiritual army. When it speaks in Ezekiel the 37th chapter about an exceeding great army. Well, that army is that spiritual army of us going out in camps. Those who encamp, company, body of people. So camp means body of people. So when we was in Israel, that was one big, gigantic camp of anywhere from 1 to 6 million people, according to the researchers and scholars. So let's go to the 19th verse. Exodus 14, verse 19. And the angel of the Lord, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. So this was its ship. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face in front of them and stood behind them. So they went from the ship went before them and behind them. So this gigantic ship was maneuvering. And when it became pitch black dark, the ship would put on that big track, and that ship had to be humongous, super gigantic, because we're dealing with millions of people. So that light had to cover. Basically, it was like daytime to them. It says the 20th verse, and it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. So that's showing you that the so-called Egyptians, the Hamites, and the people of Mizraim were out to pursue them. And I'll read down. And it was a cloud and darkness to them. Like I said, there was no lights out there in the wilderness. So it was super dark. It says, but it gave light by night to these, the Israelites, so that the one came not near the other all the night. Then they came up to the sea. 21st verse. And Moses stretched out his hand. And by the way, they were in the land of Goshen. And the part of the sea that they went through is the Gulf of Suez. You had the Red Sea, and then north of the Red Sea, you had two gulfs. You had the Gulf of Suez, and you had the Gulf of Aqaba. And when they went into the wilderness, it was in between those two gulfs. And then the other nations around, the heathens around about, saying, well, they're dead. They're out there in the wilderness. They ain't got nothing out there. They ain't got no food. They're just going to die. So leave them alone. It says, the 21st verse, and Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind. So how did that happen? The Most High sent a wind, a major wind, to part the sea. All that night. And remember, the Egyptians couldn't follow them because the cloud was over them. But then eventually the Egyptians went to follow them, and the Most High took the east wind away, and they all died. All of them that went in the sea, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. So everybody talks about them going through the the movie with Charlton Heston playing Moses. He played a pretty good Moses for a cracker. And when we were kids, you actually thought this devil was Moses, man. That's how messed up in the head we were. That's how far we were from the truth. But anyway, in that movie, Cecil B. DeMille's, he and by the way, when he made that movie, in the beginning of the movie, it tells you that the books that he went into, either the beginning of the movie or the end of the movie, he said he went to the book of Philo, which was a historian. You can read about him. He also went to the book of Josephus, and I believe he mentioned a couple other books. And he said, but the main book he went with was the Holy Bible. That's what it was in the script, in the movie. Now, he had actual scholars because they had used the Hebrew, and like the part with Jethro's daughter, Zipporah, she pointed at the rock to say that this was Jethro's well, and it was written in ancient Hebrew, or Paleo Hebrew, whatever you want to, Phoenician Hebrew, Canaanite Hebrew, whatever name you want to put on it. And it was written right. So he had some Hebrew scholars, when he did the movie. Anyway, showing you that he was trying to keep the historical accuracy of the movie, of the of what he was going by, to keep it in the movie. Anyway, it says 22nd verse. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses with chariots and his horsemen. 24th verse. And it came to pass that in the morning watch the Lord looked upon the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire. That's that big ship. Oh, and like I said, I was speaking about the movie, The Ten Commandments. Well, Cecil B. DeMille, he should have had a gigantic UFO in the movie. It says the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, that they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, let us flee from the face of Israel, for Yahweh fighteth for them against the Egyptians. So I don't know if the ship was hitting them with, it said that it said the pillar. Let me go back to the 24th verse. It says, unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians. And troubled the host of the Egyptians. So that gigantic UFO was either hitting them with lasers or whatever. Let me look up the word troubled. H2000. Hamam. To move noisily, confuse, make a noise, discomfort. So this gigantic ship was actually playing with the Egyptians. Either hitting them with lasers, break, consume, crush, destroy, trouble, vex, to move noisily, to confuse, discomfort, vex. And Pharaoh, let me go back to the verse. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, 24th verse. It says, and it came to pass that in the morning watch, the Lord looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians. Now that ship could have just destroyed them, but the ship was just vexing them and took off their wheels, the chariot wheels that they drave them heavily, so because they were in sand, and that the Egyptians said, "Let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord Yahweh fighteth for them against the Egyptians." So Pharaoh knew that that was the Lord, because he even asked Moses to bless me too. Tell your Lord to bless me too. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horses. And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its strength, even when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it, and the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. It says, and the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the hosts of Pharaoh that came unto the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. But the children of Israel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. Thus saith the Lord, thus the Lord Yahweh saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. So at one time, Egypt was a great rulership, a great power. But the Most High brought judgment against them in one day. And the same thing's going to happen to Esau. And Esau knows this, man. Like I said, Esau is not a person of faith. He's a person of evidence. Show me the evidence. Give me some tangible evidence. So what they do is they'll read the scriptures. And they showed you that in the Raiders of the Lost Ark. With Indiana Jones, he was a professor. And they were reading out of the scriptures. And they were saying there is an Ark of the Covenant. And they went to look for it. And when they found it, they put it in a warehouse somewhere. And in that scene where they put the Ark of the Covenant in the warehouse, which that didn't happen. That's some Hollywood bullshit. But anyway, you had a bunch of boxes, and these are all things that they went and searched out and found and said, okay, we found out that's true, and they put it in another box. Showing you that Esau is not a man of faith. So what Esau did was he said, you know what, let's see if there was an actual Pharaoh, there was an actual Egypt, and let's go dig up whatever we can dig up, excavate from the different pyramids. Well, the evidence is clear. The pyramids over there in Egypt. So Esau, he checked the evidence through his scientists, his scholars, his historians, his historians, Bible historians, and they came to the conclusion that there are people of Israel, and their DNA or their skull features, their bone structure, they're straight up Jakes, Israelites. So they already know that, man. So they living on a lie, and they living on borrowed time. It says, and Israel saw the great work which Yahweh, and we're going to see the Most High, the Lord's great work again, did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared the Lord and believed the Lord and his servant Moses. Oh, wait a minute. We don't got to follow man. They had to follow Moses. Okay, I want to go to Exodus Exodus 19. Okay, I'm going to start at the 4th verse. Exodus 19, verse 4. It says, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bear you on eagle's wings. Now, the Most High didn't have a gigantic eagle swoop down and pick up the children of Israel. This is symbolic talk, parable talk. And it says the same thing. Let me go to Revelation 12, I believe it's in. And so the Most High is getting ready to do something. It says here in okay, it says in the 13 and 14 verse. It says, and when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child, which is Yahushua, because Yahushua came out of the nation, the children of Israel, the sons of Israel. 14 verse. And to the woman which represent the children of Israel were given 2 wings of a great eagle. Now that they didn't in this chapter right here, Revelation 12 verse 14, there was no gigantic eagle that came down and swooped them up and delivered them. It's talking about how they fled into some of them fled up into different parts of Asia Minor, which is Europe, and a lot of them fled into the interiors of Africa. See, the Bible is like a puzzle, and when you put enough pieces together, you begin to see that picture. And Esau, he put the pieces together, and he sees that we are the Israelites, man. Anyway, it says, and to the women were given 2 wings. Esau, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is getting ready to take you down very soon. It could happen this year. I pray that it happens this year. It says, and to the women were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness. Ultimately, the majority, you have Israelites all up in Europe, man. All up in Europe. When you go to the Middle Ages, you can go from that time, 70 AD, up until Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand and Christopher Colon, and that was the fulfillment of the 1,000 years in Revelation, the 20th chapter. Anyway, it says that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, and that place ultimately, there's going to be a great number of Israelites that's going to be here in America, where she is nourished for a time and times and a half a time from the face of the serpent. The face of the serpent is talking about this so-called white man. And the reason why Jake is able to live is because the benefits that we get, the Section 8, the food stamps, the little bullshit jobs that we get. It says in the 15th verse, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman. That's talking about the armies, that he might cause her to be carried away the flood, to be killed off. So there was a lot of our people killed off in the war between the Jewish-Roman wars. The first one, which was during the time period of the Flavian dynasty, which consisted of Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. And I always go into that. And the earth helped the woman. How did the earth help the woman? She was able to escape out of the land of Israel into other lands. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. So now let's go back. Let's go back to Exodus. And you keep seeing a video of this UFO. But like I said, I'm reading these scriptures, especially Exodus 14, to let you know that there was an actual ship. Anytime you see a pillar by day and a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, it's talking about an actual UFO. Okay, it says, 5th verse, Exodus 19, verse 5. Now, therefore, if ye will obey my voice and indeed and keep my covenant, and ultimately we broke that covenant, so the Most High will give us a new covenant. Are we under the new covenant yet? Not really. We're going to be under the covenant when the Most High changes us, because He's going to make us. He's going to put the covenant inside of each and every one of us. Then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And we're still going to be made a peculiar people, which is a special people. Let me look up the word peculiar, or peculiar treasure. And the word there is sagala. And it means possession, property, valued property, particular treasure. So we are the treasure to the Most High. We are the apple of His eye. It goes on to say property, wealth, private property. Right, so you leave your hands. We are the Most High's private property. You devils done took us and you stole the Most High's private property. So what do you think's going to happen to you? It goes on to say feminine, passive, to shut up, wealth, property, jewelry, particular, peculiar, treasure, proper good. And one of the definitions is private property. We are the Most High's private property. And you took and enslaved the Most High's private property. So now you have to pay for it. And you're pretending to be the Most High's private property. And that's why I notice anytime I was watching a little Joe Rogan and Alex Jones, and the last, I guess, 4 or 5 minutes, they were talking about the Hebrew Israelites. And they kept saying, man, that's an unusual group. They were acting like they didn't know. Look, all the videos that have been put up about Israel, you should be experts on what we teach, man. The fact is, Esau knows that we're the people of the Most High, but they don't want to acknowledge it. Because if they acknowledge that we're the Israelites, they would have to acknowledge and admit that they're the Edomites, and they would have to admit that they're going into slavery. See, they're really scared, man. It said when that army stood up on his feet, great fear fell upon them that saw them. So now it says in the 5th verse, I'm going to read it again. Exodus 19, verse 5. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, which we didn't, so the Most High gave us a new covenant, and it's a better covenant than the old covenant, because He's going to program us to keep the laws. Then ye shall be a peculiar treasure, private property, unto me above all people, all other nations, and all the earth is mine. So that's a future prophecy that's getting ready to take place. And there's no way, if you're not an Israelite, you can't put yourself in the under the blessings. You're not going to be blessed. It says, 6th verse, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, talking about the Israelites, and an holy nation. And we're going to be the only holy nation, because we're going to teach the other nations while we're kicking them in the ass. These are the words which thou spake, or shall speak unto the children of Israel. Anyway, and when Pharaoh saw that gigantic, super gigantic UFO, he knew that the Lord was with us, man. That's why he mentioned the Lord. He said the Lord is fighting against us. So Pharaoh knew the Most High of Israel, the power of Israel. So what I'm going to do real quick is go into a couple of scriptures. I got a bunch of scriptures that I put together the UFO scriptures we know by heart anyway. But there's a bunch of scriptures on the so-called UFOs. You can go to 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, read that whole chapter, where it talks about how Yahushua is going to come down on a ship that's so big it's going to look like a mountain. You can go to Revelation, matter of fact, let me go to that. Revelation 10. And when John the Apostle, or John the Divine, or John the Revelator, when he received that little book, it was given to him by an angel inside of what the so-called white man calls a UFO. It says John 10:1, and it says, and I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, cloud by day, pillar of fire by night, and a rainbow was about his head. So that was an actual UFO that he saw as an angel. It was an angel in the UFO. You know, the angel, damn, an inside joke. And his face was, as it were, the sun. And the beam, the fire, the pillar of fire by night was like the sun. So in the nighttime, it was like the children of Israel, the sons of Israel, were walking in the daytime. So it was never nighttime for them. And his feet as pillars of fire. So he described, and the only way he can describe it, that was a gigantic UFO. It says in the 2nd verse, and he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot, which was I can say a landing pod, for lack of a better term, upon the sea, and his left foot on the earth. So that was a big ship, a gigantic ship. And cried with a loud voice, as when a lion roareth. And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write. So he heard things, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. So there were some things that were given to John that he was not supposed to write. And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven. And I saw by him that liveth forever and ever, and I swear by him excuse me, that liveth forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that there are in. So this is the angel giving, homage to the Most High, Yahweh by Shemal Shai, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer. So the revelations that John received was dealing with the end of the world. For the most part, the book of Revelation is dealing with the end of the world. It speaks about the mark of the beast. Why does it speak about the mark of the beast? Because that's going to happen at the end of the world in this time. Then it speaks about the downfall of Babylon in Revelation 18 verse, and he's seen it play out. So, all I can say to you, Esau, Edom, is enjoy yourself. You coming against us, you coming against the private property of the Most High. And it's not going to be good for you in the kingdom. It's not going to be good for you. You ain't going to have a good day. You ain't going to have a day where you can lay your head down and, have a piece of fucking weed in your... What are you talking about in the old movies of the West? They had that wheat in their mouth and lean back and reminiscing. You ain't going to reminisce on anything. You're going to be trying to figure out how to breathe again. Anyway, it says, but in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of the Most High should be finished. What is the mystery of the Most High? We're breaking the mysteries down to you. We're telling you who that, being an Edomite, who is an Edomite. We told you, we broke down that mystery to you. That's the so-called white man. Who we are, that was a mystery at one time. And even Esau showed you and made a movie called Green Pastures, which should be on YouTube, where they showed you all the characters of the scriptures were all so-called Jakes. And the main character that played the Most High, he looked like the Most High pursuant to Daniel the 7th chapter. White hair and a white beard. It says, as he hath declared, let me read that again, 7th verse. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, and when the seventh angel blows his trumpet, that's when this place is totally destroyed. When he shall begin to sound, the mystery of the Most High should be finished. Meaning the end of this, the end of Esau and the beginning of Jacob, and the beginning of Jacob. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. As he hath declared to his servants the prophets. So all the prophets received that mystery, but they didn't necessarily understand it. And here we are back again as the prophets, and we understand it fully. 8th verse. And the voice which I heard from heaven spake unto me again and said, go and take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel which standeth upon the sea and upon the earth. And that little book represents the scriptures. And it is a little book, because you hold a Bible in one hand. You got pocket-sized Bibles. You got brothers that are reading from the smartphone. They're reading the scriptures. So the Bible is actually, you can bring up the scriptures in a smartphone. Oh, and it goes on to say, 9th verse, Revelation 10. And I went unto the angel and said unto him, give me the little book. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up. And that's the same thing that was told to Ezekiel. And what does it mean by eating it up? Meaning digest it, learn it, read it, master it. And it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. When you first get into it, you got a lot of guys falling off and leaving and getting kicked out and becoming disenchanted. And the first thing they do, they talk shit about whatever camp that they were a part of, whether it's true or not. Because they no longer want to do this. You know, it gets tired after a while. I don't want to do this no more. And these guys ain't right any goddamn way. That's their justification. So it's bitter in your belly. But in the beginning, it's sweet. You know, you have guys saying, all praise to the Most High, how about Shemau Shai, double honors to the elders of GMS and you sincere brothers. And then when they leave, we the worst. We the worst people. We're worse than Esau. Matter of fact, none of them even speak. They have nothing negative to say about Esau. All their negative is on us, who taught them. It says, 10th verse, and I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey, and as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. So now let me click on the word bitter. That's G4087.
Strong's G 4087. Pecrino. Pecrino.
It means to make bitter, to produce a bitter taste in the stomach, to embitter, exasperate, render angry, indignant, to be embittered, irritated, to visit with bitterness, to grief, deal bitterly with. So let's pull out some of these words. Indigent, angry, irritated. There comes a time where it ain't I'll use this term, it ain't sexy no more. You know, going out there, here come the winter, you got to deal for a couple of months dealing with the winter. Then you got the summer, is hot as hell. And then you gotta be out there, man. Whatever plans, you got a girl that wanna, well, you never give me a Saturday. We never go out on a Saturday. I'm giving you an ultimatum. So you got pressure from your girl, and then you got pressure. Why don't you shave your beard off? You know, we gonna go see my parents. At least trim it. Well, let me trim it, and they'll fuck your beard up, man. And they'll deny you of they'll deny you the box until you start shaving your hair, getting that 5 o'clock shadow. And that's why men in Israel cut their shit so short. I don't give a damn who it is, man. I don't care if you're an apostle to a buck private. The reason why you shave your head, the beards on your face short, is because you're doing it for women. You're doing it for the galleys, as Tyson would say. Anyway, there's a whole heap of scriptures on the UFOs. Zechariah 5, you can start from the first verse. Revelation 10, I just read. 2 Kings 2, verse 9. Read on down. Zechariah 9 and 12, that's a good one. Isaiah 66 and 15. Isaiah 34, Daniel 7 and 9. Psalm 68, the 13th verse, and read down to the 17th verse, and then it's going to lead you back to Deuteronomy, the 33rd verse. Ezekiel 1, Psalms 91. And that's how we're going to be delivered out of here. And let me leave you with one last scripture. Revelation 11. And anytime I read Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, I always think about Revelation 11 chapter. And let me go to the first The second verse, Revelation 11. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, the actual Gentiles, and the holy city shall be a thread underfoot 42 months. So this truth is not to be given to the Gentiles. They're only to know parts of the truth. But this is not a blessing to them. This truth is not a blessing to them. Okay, it says in the 8th verse, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. This great city is Babylon the Great, which shall be utterly destroyed, pursuant to Revelation 8, the 18th chapter, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. So America is not called Sodom or Egypt, but it's spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. So we call this the new Sodom, the new Egypt. We call this Assyria, the new Assyria, Babylon, Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, where also our Lord was crucified. Now our Lord was not crucified in the land of Sodom. Our Lord was not crucified in the land of Egypt. Our Lord was physically crucified in the Middle East, but it was crucified spiritually on this side when Esau set up during the Renaissance of Esau. He crossed out what the Lord is supposed to look like and put up an image of himself, pursuant to what is that? First Maccabees 3 verse 48, if I'm not mistaken, and laid open the books of the law, where the heathen sought to paint their images. So they did that back during the time of the Greeks. It says, 9th verse, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in the graves. You can't have dead bodies laying around, because everyone that walks by a dead body, they're going to wind up dropping dead. They showed you that in the movie The Kingdom of Heaven, where they had a bunch of dead bodies in Jerusalem in one scene, and they had the bodies laid out there. And Godfrey, I believe his name, the character's name was, he said, we got to burn them, because if we don't burn them, that's going to create diseases. So these dead bodies is not talking about actual dead bodies. It's talking about the dead state of mind that we're in. And we're trying to come out these graves spiritually, and Esau won't let us. He keeps trying to bury us back, and we keep popping up. You think of the reference of Ezekiel 37, dry bones in the valley, how they came together. And they formed into an exceeding great army. And Esau is trying to do everything in his power to make us look bad. But ultimately, the Most High is going to raise us up over all of y'all. And Esau, you're not done, because you gotta come back and serve. You gotta be slaves. And this is why, out of all the different Israelite groups that are out there, the main ones that they're focusing on is One West, because we're telling them, we're hurting them with these words, man. These words cut harder than steel. So they're losing sleep. They're having nightmares. The children are having nightmares. Oh, mommy, I saw this big black man. He had a sword and he was going to chop my damn head off. They're having dreams. And it's about time, man. Your kingdom, Esau is the end of this world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And the whole world's going to know about it. 10th verse. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them. It tells you in Lamentation, they shall clap their hands. Matter of fact, let me get that. I haven't brought that out in a long time. Yeah, you're going to clap the hands, but we're going to clap back. Okay, this is Lamentation 2 verse 15. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. they hiss and wag their heads at the daughter of Babylon, which the daughter of Israel, Jerusalem, excuse me, saying, "Is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth?" Yes, it is. But we're in this down state. So the Most High is going to raise us up. It says in Hosea 1, "In the place where it was said, ye are not the children of the Most High, there it shall be said that ye are the children of the Most High." So what is that place? That place is right here in America. And it's spread throughout the whole planet. It says, at the 10th verse, it says, "And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice, clap the hand over them, and make merry, and shall send gift one to another." And we were the gifts. When the transatlantic slave trade, and that was a major event that took place from the 1600s all the way up until now, because we're still in your hand. If he be found in his hand, he shall surely, if you take a man and sell him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. That's Exodus 21 verse 16. It says, "And shall send gifts one to another." And we were the gifts, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. And these two prophets represent the Israelites. Out of the Israelites came the prophets of the Most High. And the prophets of old wrote these prophecies down. And we're back out here reading the prophecies, and it's tormenting you. That's why we got to get them one Westers, because these words are tormenting you. You're losing sleep. And Esau, anybody says that. Well, what if that's true? What if that's true? That I don't believe it, but what if that's true? They're at their dinners. Edomites get together, and that conversation, boy, at one time was Michael Jackson. He's sitting down eating, talk about Michael Jackson or whatever, or whatever the hell you're talking about. Now the big conversation among you crackers is the Israelites. What do you think about these black Hebrew Israelites? Okay, it says torment, right? It says to test metals by the touchstone, which is a black siliceous stone, are used to test the purity of gold or silver by the color of the streak produced on it by rubbing it with either metal. To question by applying torture. To torture. And you're being tortured mentally in the mind by these words. The fact that we're telling you that you're the Edomites, your future is slavery, and you're going to be ultimately done away with. To vex with grievous pains. And those pains are pains from our mouth, the words that we say, of body or mind, to vex with grievous pains, in this case the mind, to torment, to be harassed. And the reason why they want us off the streets, or the reason why Claudius Caesar kicked out all the Jews pursuant to Acts the 18th chapter out of Rome, it was because they had all them camps out there, man. Because they were being harassed. What happened going back 2,000 years ago, they had them camps out there, and that's why they, and a matter of fact, let me read it. Let me actually read it. And you still see the images in the video of the UFO, because that was my main topic, but it kind of went into other topics. So this is pretty much like a various topic. Bear with me for a minute. I got to put the right the right wording in. Let's see what's going to happen here. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, let me go to it. Okay, this is Claudius Caesar expulsion of Jews from Rome. I'm just going to tell you why. It says reference to an expulsion of Jews from Rome by the Roman Emperor Claudius, who was in office AD 41 to AD 54, appear in the Acts of the Apostles, Acts 18, verse 2, in the writings of Roman historian Suetonius, AD 69 to AD 122. Cassius Dio, which was another historian, AD 150 to AD, or circa 150 to circa 235. And 5th century Christian author Paulos Orosius, scholars generally agree that these references refer to the same incident. The exact date is uncertain. The maximal time window of the expulsion of the Jews from Rome, is from January AD 41 until January AD 53. More detailed estimates, such as those based on the AD 49 date by Heresias, of the reduction of the AD 53 upper limit due to proconsul. I just wanted to get to the point. All right, it says there were at least 2 expulsions of the Jews from Rome before this event. In 1939 BC, the Jews were expelled after being accused of Judaizing among the local Gentiles. Now, what does it mean by Judaizing among the local Gentiles? Those were Israelites that didn't know that they were Israelites. So even if you go back before the time of Yahushua, 139 years BC or BCE, before the Christian era, you had Israelites that were Gentiles, that were thinking that they were Gentiles back then. It says then in AD 19, Tiberius once again expelled Jews from the city for similar reasons, because they were waking the Jews were waking up the Israelite foreigners, the Gentiles, and that's what we're doing today. That's exactly what we're doing today. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom. I didn't want to make this too long. I see that it went an hour, but like I said, the main topic is dealing with the cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night, and that's why I labeled it that video, or this video, excuse me, and it kind of went into other things, and that's how the spirit works. All right, so with that, I'm going to say shalom.